Is that post or pre-COVID? I don't know.
All
because-
of it. Yes, we see it. We can be very candid here.
Yeah. Right, and we only implement that when people get out of line.
Hi, y'all. Welcome to Hustle Humbly. It's Alissa and Katie, and we are two top producing realtors in the Baton Rouge market.
We work for two different companies where we should be competitors, but we have chosen community over competition.
The goal of our podcast is to encourage you to find your own way in business.
So stop comparing yourself and start embracing your strengths.
Okay, Alissa, make it happen.
Okay, today is episode number
119.
119.
119.
And it is the highly requested new construction episode.
Yep.
We have been getting so many requests. We have been keeping a spreadsheet of all of the listener questions.
Yeah, we have some.
Regarding new construction. We really wanted to find someone we felt comfortable with picking their brain. So today, I have Chad Broussard in here with us. He is a builder in Lafayette. I just met Chad in New Orleans for our company's top 30 trip.
Yes, they just literally delivered a package. Did you hear him? Ding dong.
Oh, that's
You were
funny.
like, sometimes there are package deliveries.
Yes,
Carry on.
and there's
Okay.
a package delivery.
You met him on the top 30 trip.
Yes, and then the more I talked to him, I was thinking, oh my gosh, this is who we need.
This is the builder.
This is the builder.
We found him for you.
For a few reasons. I feel like you do subdivisions, you do customs, you're agent friendly. So I felt like we could just have an honest conversation about what realtors can do during the building process. What are we supposed to be doing? What shouldn't we do? But before we dive into all the questions, can you tell us how you even got started? Like, when did you start building?
I don't know anything, so you have to tell me who you are.
Yeah, how
where
did
you
this
are,
come to be?
What made you do all this?
It's a long story over 2 decades ago.
Okay,
Great.
So it started out with me building my first house, my first personal house.
Oh.
And so first house note, didn't like the responsibility of paying a house note monthly.
Yeah.
Sold the house and then realized I enjoyed the industry.
Okay.
Then,
Did you build your next house?
and the next, and the next, and the
Okay.
next, over the next 20 years. About every 2 to 3 years, I'd build a new home. And my deal for building a new home is not just to build a new home, but the new styles.
Oh.
So you are always staying up to date on like what people are doing now.
Yes,
and
yes. Because you remember, as the styles change, the house becomes less desirable to a
Sure,
buyer.
right.
So I would always flip in because it was on a higher end market. So I just
Okay.
wanted to keep it fresh.
But your very first house, was it on a higher end?
No. It was
So,
probably,
but when you sold it, did you say, oh, I made money?
oh, yes.
And that's when you were like,
yes,
ding,
you're like,
yes.
I'm hooked.
I am hooked. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It was a lot of headache. There was a lot of stress because I didn't have a mentor at the time. So I had to learn as I went along.
So what were you doing before that?
Production manager for a print company in Lafayette.
Okay.
Yes.
So you always have been in Lafayette then?
Yes. Always in Lafayette. Yeah.
How did you know how to build a house?
I didn't.
Okay.
I wouldn't have bought that house.
Okay.
I wouldn't have bought that house. It was the very first house. I did the very best I could. I had a couple friends that would help me out. My brother was a roofer. He came and roofed the house. So at least I didn't have any leaks.
That's good.
We had friends that were framers. I did all the trim work in the house. I did all the flooring in the house. I did a lot of work in this house. So I probably made a little bit more profits than I would have normally made.
Okay. How many years ago was that?
Oh, probably 25 years ago.
Okay.
At what point did you start building for others?
Let's see, probably about 2 years after that.
Okay. Were you nervous?
No, I wasn't nervous.
First
I said,
client?
because at that point I already knew I enjoyed the industry.
Yeah.
So there was nothing nervous about it. And there was only up to
Sure.
go in the
Yeah.
industry for me. I was at the very bottom just starting out.
Right.
So I knew that there was a lot of potential there. I was building in a market that was a very slow and low comp area. So, the labor and subs and cost to build a house was the same as in Lafayette. I ended up getting introduced to a guy named Cordell Castet. So he had Village Builders in Lafayette. He was a very big developer.
Okay.
So he kind of took me under his wing, brought me to the Lafayette market out of Brobridge. And from then, he just saw the work ethic I had, and he just kept bringing me up and up and up and up.
That's awesome.
And then, not to mention, a year later, he passes away.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So he gave me that start. And he had some other family in the industry that also did developments and built houses, Austin Clement Enterprises.
Okay.
And I kind of got with those guys.
So where are you now? Now you're doing subdivisions. Are you doing customs? Like, what does your work look like today?
It's all over the place. We like doing subdivisions just because we can pay attention to those houses. If,
Okay.
you know, builders that take houses out of a certain area of where they work, they can't give the client the amount of attention. We get calls all the time for north of Lafayette, south of Lafayette. We don't take those jobs because, listen, I could hire superintendents and just keep hiring people, but what does that really do for the client?
Right.
At that point, I mean, I see builders taking jobs everywhere. And at that point,
It's the same way I feel about realtors taking clients
Elsewhere.
Elsewhere,
Like,
yes.
you
Can't
know
serve
your
them
area
best.
and you can serve your area the best.
Hmm.
Okay, that's interesting. But so when you do a neighborhood, do you do the development, like the land
we
part?
don't do the development. We partner up with developers. And like I say, Cordell Castet was the biggest developer at the time. When he passed away, other people had to step up to start developing. This was a long time ago. And so Bob Austin was Cordell's brother-in-law. So I went into his office. He had subdivisions going on. We started off with him. So we just closed on 18 lots in Cypress Meadows that we're going to do some bungalows and conventional housing. That's Bob Austin, Brian Clement. We just partnered up with a new developer, Robert Daigle, which is a huge developer in Lafayette.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's doing a subdivision for us. On the backside of a subdivision we're just finishing up in San Sebastian.
Okay.
Okay.
So you buy lots and subdivisions that are already developed.
Correct. Yes.
The bungalows that I had gotten the brochure on that I was
I saw it.
How'd you like it?
It was
Very
amazing.
cool.
Okay,
I was
so-
like, these are awesome.
So that's Jessica that puts that together.
Yeah.
Jessica, if you're wondering, you know, we're engaged.
Yes.
Okay.
So she's also my
And she's your
realtor.
agent.
So you're-
yes,
she's your
yes,
agent.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So y'all will be like, y'all are a team
Yes,
with the
absolutely.
selling process,
She
buying and
lists
selling.
all of the
Oh, absolutely.
spec. How
Everything.
much spec do you do?
Well, they're all specs, like all
Well, I
the.
mean,
Yeah.
but you do some custom.
Yes. So
But most of it's
customs are what we do consider customs. I don't want to go on anyone's property and build a house.
okay.
There's too many documents and legal work and contracts that you have to file at the courthouse for legal purposes before you even break ground. I prefer to be in a subdivision. So our customs, when I consider a custom, it could be anywhere from $200,000 all the way up to $1 million.
Okay.
Wow.
But it's in a subdivision I'm currently in.
Okay.
I just, as I said before, I don't like to
will
venture
you
out.
take the client like from the beginning?
Yes.
Like they pick a lot, they pick
Yes.
a floor plan?
Yes.
Okay.
So in Cypress Meadows, we already have. We're just forming up, and we have 8 under contract out of the 18 we just closed.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
We don't even have a slab. So all those are going to, all those,
They'll get to pick.
we say custom, but
All right. I want to I know exactly what you're saying. And I don't know if this is a Louisiana thing or if this is like, truthfully, a spec home would be one you built that you were building out of speculation to sell, right?
Correct.
You picked all the finishes, you got
Correct.
to the end, you found a buyer bought the house, right? Okay. Custom home, in what I believe to be the correct definition, would be a client came to you and said, I would like to build this house, and then they pick all the things and the floor plan and
Correct.
move the walls and do the whole thing.
mhm.
In Louisiana, I feel like we call them custom still when they are not tract built. Do you know what I mean? Like
Well,
Right.
when they're, even if you didn't have the buyer at the beginning and you got the buyer mid or end or whatever, you still call it a custom home because of the style and finish? Or do you not use that term? Do you?
well, there's a lot of agents that say, you know, we start a speculative house and it becomes
Turns into custom?
It gets sold.
Mm-hmm.
Is that custom or is it still speculative? Because they have
Right.
an option to get out of that contract based on finance or appraisal or
Right.
inspection. So is it really a custom? Or should the agents really be calling it, considering it's still a spec house? Because
Right.
they're not locked into that.
But what I think it is here, I think it is the actual term custom gives it cachet, right? Like just saying the word custom home makes it sound like it was
That's just being
one of a
nice.
kind, right?
That's just being pretentious sometimes.
Like
Right.
in your subdivisions, can they move walls?
No, we don't do that because we have
You have
set
plans,
So
yes.
like Jessica put a whole binder together and she got with our designer that we have and we put plans and elevations to where the streetscape for one looks correct as far as elevations go.
Yep.
And then making sure that they're facing the right way. And then they went and they selected all the colors and faucets and selections for these houses.
The
so
designers did.
yes.
Yeah.
So they're
Yeah. I like that.
I guess you could say it's a custom house according to our designer.
yeah.
You know, and so what we've learned from production in the bungalows is that a lot of realtors and buyers want to say it's a custom after it's sold, and they want to make a bunch of changes.
Yeah.
But they're not paying a custom price.
Correct.
So there's a misunderstanding, and yes, it's a custom at this point because it's for these clients, but they're not paying the price to make all these changes. We have a clause for upgrades in our builder addendum that says for every change, it's X amount of dollars for a change order, right? Most of the time,
just to make the change.
Make the change.
Okay.
I liked that.
That's
when
pretty
he
smart.
told me about that in New Orleans, that if you want to make a change, every time you change your mind or something or want to make an addition, there's a change fee plus whatever the cost is to make the change.
Just to even make the change.
Right. And we only implement that when people get out of line. And listen, we
one more thing.
Listen, I also like to get that fancier toilet.
Right.
And then again, most times I'll never charge you for a change order if you go and pay the vendor directly. So like when we order the plumbing, we say, hey, we're ready for the trim out. We line it up with the plumbers call the vendor, everything gets delivered at one time. If you've already taken care of that and I don't have to deal with it, I'm not going to charge you money.
Right, because there's not as much administration on
I don't
your
have to do anything.
Yeah.
I'm letting you make these upgrades yourself. I'm not going to charge you for a toilet $100 when you just go pay the vendor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
makes sense.
I
sell houses. I sell houses, not upgrades.
Right. I have one more question about the process, and then we can move into listener questions. I felt like you were very aware of your numbers and your costs, and you were building these homes that looked to me, because I was looking at the bungalows brochure of the finishes and everything looks so nice. And how do you keep your cost in line, especially with what's happening today?
Right. So prior to starting the bungalows in 2019, we were doing some larger homes, and they kind of got out of scope. The changes were too much. $12,000 in antique beams, that the profits wasn't there for the comps. So I told Jessica, I said, we need to revisit smaller and affordable homes. So probably for about 2 months, I did a very extensive pro forma. And so I had a guy that used to work for me that did a computer program that will back calculate things. You enter your percentage, you enter real estate fees, and then it's going to tell you what everything should cost. It's going to back calculate it.
Okay.
And for that square footage. So
that's so smart.
Yeah, we use that program, and we just started plugging in numbers. And so it affected my profit number. It would affect the real estate. It would affect the building materials. So we just kept playing with it with subcontractors. And so we actually got a lot of the building materials and subcontractors. The pricing was phenomenal. It made it. We promise these guys 15 houses at a time. So they'll commit to a lower price with volume pricing.
Right.
So it's just, it was a lot of work to do this.
Yeah.
So a lot of builders can't do it just because they don't do enough volume.
The volume.
And so we're kind of in a niche where it's like you have tract builders that give you a roof, but your investment is limited because resale isn't there. Because a year later you can buy the same house down the road and they'll give you incentives. They have their own finance companies. Right. But we're right there, and we're right under some of the guys that build bigger houses.
I felt like it was the perfect mix.
Yes.
Because what? You keep it around like the 280 to 325 price point.
Believe it or not, before COVID, they were in the 219 to 229 range.
Gosh.
Right. Yes. So we knew on the first, and on the first bungalows, we negotiated a price with the developer because he had a bunch of lots. It was San Sebastian. It kind of went dormant. You can look at the MLS. The numbers show that it went dormant.
Sure.
And so we had a pre-sold, and then I talked to the developer. I said, hey, look, all the lots across this major road, because it backed up to a highway. Oh. But the lots were 155 deep.
Sure.
And they were 55 wide.
Okay.
Right. And so I said, well, what kind of price can we negotiate for these lots? So he said, we can do them for $40,000 a lot. It's curb and gutter subdivision. So what I did was I put the fence up first.
Yeah.
And so then we started building the houses, and guess what? You just don't see it.
Most developers don't think like that.
Right.
They don't understand that making the entrance of the neighborhood, making the fencing, making it look where you're like, oh, I feel secure in building here. Because it's always hard to get, I know locally, one of those custom type neighborhoods off the ground. It's like, well, I don't know. It's just a big field of dirt with pipes sticking up. The entrance doesn't look like, oh, and you want to charge me X price? Well, that doesn't sound right because I don't see what it's going to look like. Buyers can't visualize. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
They
yes.
just can't visualize. Okay,
Yeah.
while we're on that, so the price changed. What things post COVID and in the last 2-ish years I know lumber.
Lumber's back down significantly.
Okay, so not asinine, but still higher than
correct.
before.
A little bit before.
Okay.
Yeah. And so like plywood still at about 1850. And so I went back, looked at my numbers, pulled up some lumber pricing. I was in the $6 to $7 range for that same OSB.
I mean, that's
When we
3
built it.
times.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you, and you're looking at, 300 sheets of plywood, when you surround it and deck it, you can add that up.
Yeah.
Lot prices have gone up because
Okay.
I couldn't negotiate anymore on those lots. Those were all gone.
Right.
Right.
So between subcontractors going up because
Mm-hmm.
of the amount of work that is there now,
Okay.
right? And then lumber prices up and then lot prices are up.
Mm-hmm.
The comps we started out, I think in that subdivision at 140-ish, 145-ish, and we ended around 155-ish.
Okay.
And that was in a short period of time where the other
Sure.
builders couldn't raise the price.
Yeah.
The other builds actually slowed the subdivision down because they were building a bigger house than what that subdivision was meant for. We started the subdivision on the front end years ago. We started 12 houses. The other builder, affordable houses.
Yeah.
The other builders came in with, $325,000 houses. It was a nicer house, obviously, than what I was building because
Yeah.
I was building affordable.
Right.
Sure.
So I left the subdivision.
Yeah.
The developer said, Chad, we want you to come back in.
Mhm.
Well, he had been paying interest on all these lots because the builders wasn't taking the lots down.
Yeah.
They were building a house that actually brought it the man down. So we went back in with the bungalows. We ended up finishing out the subdivision.
Okay.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's really cool.
Mhm.
All right. Wiring, appliances, anything else? More expensive? I just recently had a client in new construction that had to pay an extra wiring fee.
wiring, like
Like the
electric?
actual-
Yeah, wiring is way up. Our electricians.
Oh, I never would have thought that.
Yeah, they're getting hammered with that.
Okay.
My AC guy had to order bulk copper lines
Oh.
for their AC.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Because it's not available. Ductwork, even ductwork. He's having a
Okay.
shortage of ductwork. So
Uh-huh.
what they'll do is they'll go rough in, put the boxes in, put the AC unit in, and then as they get ductwork,
They come back and do the duct.
they come back and do
Holy,
it. Yeah.
and surely that makes
Oh.
their process less efficient.
It does, but I mean, keeping up with the demand. Listen,
Yeah.
we're down. I guess in a good market, we're down 1,500 houses in our market.
Mhm.
We're about 1,000 listings now.
Yeah.
So if somebody came in and put 1,500 houses down right now,
They'd all-
we'd be at a normal market.
Right.
That's
we don't
crazy to
We don't
think
have
about.
1,500 lots available.
No.
To even build on.
Correct.
Yes.
So
How long do you think this will continue? The inventory shortage in the
I think
as
we-
through a
we-
builder's eyes.
Jessica and I talked about that on the way over here because I was hoping you would ask that. Listen, people say, okay, there's going to be a housing crash, right? You hear
Yeah.
that, right?
Mhm.
Well, obviously, historically, it happens at one
Right.
time or another
Sure.
after
There's
a
always
huge
one
growth.
at some point.
Right. I mean, so I think that's an easy call to make.
Yeah.
When will that happen? Well, listen, everything is demand based, right?
Right.
You can't get a car on the lot. You can't get four wheelers on on the
Mhm.
lot. You can't buy a Rolex out of the store because they're on back order. Houses, the American dream. Even if the interest rate goes up 1-2 points,
Mhm.
you think people aren't going to buy a house?
Right.
They might not buy the $400,000
Yeah.
house. Maybe
They'll
they'll
just
buy the
change the price range,
$350,000 house.
Sure.
Right.
But they're not going to stop buying the American dream.
Right.
That's what people
Well,
want.
you've been in the business long enough that you have been through recession.
Yeah,
Like,
financial
what did that
crisis.
Look like for you? What did that look like
It was
for
ugly.
your business?
On the
It was
East,
ugly.
it was very
It was not
ugly.
good.
But you have
Ugly
to
for how long? What happened?
Well, I mean, you figure like on the East Coast, they had the financial crisis, right? The banks made bad decisions. The lenders made bad decisions with builders. They took a huge hit. I remember this is crazy. Bank cut all their builders off because they made bad decisions on the East Coast, right?
Right.
And I told my banker, I said,
You're like, I can make you money.
because they're not selling
fine.
Fords on the East Coast or they're not shipping them down to Louisiana. I'm like,
Right.
what?
Help me.
I don't understand. Like, you guys are supposed to be professionals.
Right.
And you cut
Yes,
it. You
yes.
just shut it all down
Yeah.
because of
Because
your
that
bad
was your
decisions.
go-to. So,
Yes, that was your go-to.
so they shut it down.
that was my biggest line at the time.
Oh.
so
so-
what did you do?
I diversified. I went to other banks and I said, I don't want one bank with one line of credit
Mhm.
because at this point, one bank can shut you down like
Yeah.
this because of their bad decisions.
Right.
I didn't default on anything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had that. And other local builders had the same issue with that bank. And then they called us years later to do business with them. I'm like,
No way.
I don't want to do business with
Right.
you.
Scary.
Like, you didn't mind ruining someone's life for something that they didn't do. You know,
Right.
we had to struggle to go to other banks, get other lines established because they just cut you off.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to do some more specs. Oh, we're not doing them. Well, what do you mean?
No, you
Yeah,
just-
that's a
there's no-
surprise.
That's a surprise. Thank you for that notification. Yeah.
Oh,
And
man.
that's I just rather not deal with bank on that.
Mm-hmm.
Then you had the oil spill
Mm-hmm.
where we were financing houses ourselves at
Mm-hmm.
the time. We wasn't taking bank loans out on it. We were just doing them cash.
Uh-huh.
And so we had like 10 of them sitting
Ugh.
when the oil.
That was 2010.
Stressing.
Yeah. Oh, stressing, probably an understatement.
Okay.
So we did a huge agent deal where we had caterers come out. We hosted an event in the subdivision. We offered special bonuses to agents that were with our listing company.
Okay.
If you sell this house and you're with this company, you get an extra bonus on top.
Okay.
And man, they all sold quickly.
Wow.
And I think it was
We're like,
I think it's just getting the
Interesting.
attention of the agents and saying, hey, look, you know, in a time of crisis, listen, a builder can go under, but if you give parts of your profit away to the agents to make them hustle for you, guess what?
that makes sense.
They're coming. They're going to sell your product.
I think that's a good time to go into the agent relationship.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
At what point did you need to hire an agent?
I've always hired agents. I've never been without a real estate agent.
Wow.
Yeah, I've just, you know, agents are out there. They can have their finger on the pulse. And I think that builders that have multiple agents with multiple listing companies, I think it's a bad idea. I said, you know, because there's no integrity there. I think you need to get with one agent, no matter who you are, and you need to get, because listen, you have there's agent builders in our market that they will do custom homes on their own, but list their spec houses with an agent. Well, how do you know that you didn't get that custom house from the advertisement that your agent did on your spec?
Right.
It's very unfair. So
They know
Agree.
you because of your specs, because of
Correct.
the agent marketing the properties.
And then all of a sudden you're not paying that.
correct. So all this advertising and money that they put in to build your company, and you got to remember, that's why a lot of agents, they won't say a specific builder's name when they're listing something.
Right.
Because they're not going to advertise for me and then get cut out the deal when they're spending thousands of dollars a year.
yeah.
I don't think most people understand how much dollars are allocated for advertising from a real estate agent.
Right.
You know, you guys know about that.
Yeah.
How much money do you guys spend a year advertising for your business?
Well, especially if you were working for a builder who needs you to get like
Events
the word out about
and-
a whole neighborhood or do an event or something like that.
I really think the rollout of a neighborhood and how it is marketed makes or breaks how it's going to go.
I would
You know,
think,
like
yeah.
I look at the Preserve at Harveston here in Baton Rouge, and it has just done excellent. And their marketing has always been good, and the events that they
and so is that
have.
the agent or is that the developer?
Well, guess what? They only have one agent
See,
They
there
only
we go.
have one
for
agent
the
that
entire development.
I find that a lot of developers sell their lots and they don't put any money into advertising for the builders that have supported them.
Right.
They leave it up to the agents to do all the advertising when, hey, listen, your lots are being sold from the agents. You need to throw a little bit of money to those guys.
So when you're doing your budget, you allocate like a percentage no matter what. What if somebody comes to you and doesn't have an agent? What if they
I
want
send them to Jessica.
Okay, and so then she will
Sorry.
represent them.
Correct.
Okay,
Full
so they
commission.
always will have
Full percent. I don't give her half a percent because she has to do work on both sides. If she's a listing and selling agent,
right.
I'd be paying anyway.
Right.
So
Right. You're not. So I think some builders feel if they don't have an agent, will save money. But you're kind of the mindset, even before it was Jessica, who is now your fiance.
Listen, I've always
now
paid double
it's
side.
always been, you've always paid a buyer's agent.
Correct. Yes.
Even, okay. I think that's great.
I think it's just fair.
Yeah.
You know, I just, builders that shortchange their agents will pay in the long run.
I agree.
Agree.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What do agents do that bothers or annoys you? Since you're obviously an advocate for an agent, what are they doing wrong?
Yeah, what can we
Where are they
do?
going
Where can
wrong?
we improve as agents to win the respect of the builder?
I think agents are, you know, that's a very, very good question. And I think that builders in general, sellers, don't like working with agents for certain reasons, right?
Yes, we
And
see it.
I
We can
think
be very candid here.
Yeah. And I think that, like, as you guys are educated on the realtor side, have you guys ever represented a builder particularly like on all his listings?
I haven't.
I have.
Okay.
Not a lot, but he only had a few. Like it wasn't a lot.
Right. So that's resale and new construction, that's two different. That's like, of course, I think we talked about this, having one contract for resales and new construction. That's I can't even believe that's in place.
Because how long is your addendum?
Right.
Well, we do have a builder addendum,
long.
and it does, it does set expectations, but it's also up to that agent to take our builder addendum, be educated on what we expect, and then explain that because a buyer might not understand what our builder addendum specifically state, but an agent will understand it. And I think one of the things that, for me, that bothers most sellers. I'll say sellers. I'm trying to say it the right way.
Yeah.
Seller, builder. I keep saying builder, but seller in general is just the agents not being educated and for standards, set expectations.
Okay. And I think that especially with electronic signature and everything, if you can quickly send an addendum without having conversations with your buyers about what they're signing.
Sign all the time.
You send it and you get it back in 4 seconds, and you know that they didn't read it. So did the agent take the time to go through the builder addendum?
Fine, I will step in here. I have a current client who's doing new construction from pick a lot, new development, pick the.
Is that customer spec?
It's custom.
I'm just teasing. I'm just teasing. We're going back to that first conversation.
It's definitely anyway. But the builder's addendum is 10 pages long, and I'm sorry, that's a lot for an agent to wade through when. It's like you either sign it or you don't.
Okay, so let me give you an example on what you're saying right now.
Tell me.
So we had a bungalow that every time we would put in the realtor's remark, right? We're telling the realtors it's your responsibility to tell your clients what the realtor remarks say, right?
Yes.
At that point, the liability is on you as a realtor.
Yeah.
The realtor remark says specs and plans subject to change throughout construction, because we know that happens, right?
Yes.
We were in a situation where we had 2 plans drawn. We had reduced some of the square footage on the non-living, which was the back patio. They came back, made me add the back patio because now we changed it and put it in our addendum because we had it in the realtor remarks, right? Our broker said, well, it wasn't part of the contract.
Right. That's same example.
10 pages. So not to interrupt you, but 10 pages. And it's necessary to protect the builder because listen,
little thing.
Listen, as we know, the contract that's in place does not protect the seller. There's no protection for the seller at all.
Right.
They can get out for whatever reason they want, and we've also changed that in our addendum that builder or seller. At any time can can request release of escrow if there is an undisputable situation. So now
you're protected.
I had to go and write that in my addendum to protect me because it's in the contract for you guys, right?
And it's not a problem until there's a problem of play where you can't come to an agreement on something.
Right. And how many clients would you guys like to fire or have fired in the past? Because you just couldn't work with them. We don't have that option. We're held to you're going to be married to this guy for 5 years, and I have to warranty this house, and this guy's just obnoxious.
Does that make it Does that make it easier though for you to sell them when they're all the way done, so nobody is really messing around?
Oh, absolutely.
Like you just
but you still need that clause in there.
Yeah.
That even if you sign the contract and they get in a month later and they're complaining about something that the New Home Warranty Act doesn't even cover.
Right. Okay.
That is interesting.
Very interesting.
So yes, that 10 page.
I see both sides of it, 100%. But you're right, though, that MLS is not the contract.
Correct.
Like I had a situation on a resale where the seller said, we wrote in the remarks, if the buyer wants the refrigerator, washer, dryer, they can have it. But they were super old. And I said, I don't know that anybody would want it, but we'll just let them know they can have it. So we got an offer. They did not ask for it. So my seller was like, okay, well, we'll sell them. They couldn't sell them. So they put them on the street and they were gone. And then the buyer went for the final walkthrough and was like, where's the refrigerator, washer, dryer? I said, you didn't ask for them. they weren't in the contract. We said they could stay, but you didn't ask for them. And their agent had to buy them a refrigerator, washer, dryer.
She told them
It was
they
a realtor
could.
remarks.
Yeah.
It was a realtor. That's right.
The realtor did not write in the contract that her clients wanted the refrigerator, washer, dryer. She just saw, they would be happy to leave them, but there's a spot for it. So I do think though that going through that 10 pages with a highlighter, taking 45 minutes to read it and ask questions of the builder would fall under agent responsibilities.
I think so.
Yeah.
And I think that every agent should consider the realtor remarks because they're held to that.
Right.
They're held contractually to that. You read this, you wrote the contract,
Right.
and it was stated here. These
Right.
are remarks for you.
Yeah.
And I think that like time-wise, look, a builder spends 5 to 6 months on a house, a small house. It can be up to a year for a large custom $1 million house. The amount of time that you're going to put in educating your clients from the very beginning and setting those standards, even if it's 10 pages, we know that, we can be very well compensated on a larger house if we got to read through 10 pages. Big deal,
Right.
Right. I mean, it's worth the 45 minutes. Okay.
Yes.
Definitely.
Hey, Alyssa.
Hey, Katie.
Guess what?
What?
We have updated the email templates.
Finally.
Whoa! Hallelujah. They are updated and there are more of them.
Yes, we have 10 buyer templates,
Right?
15 seller templates,
Mhm.
as well as a checklist for when to send all the emails at what point in the transaction.
Yes, so you don't have to guess when they go. It's very specific. This happened now, then you send this email. So
This is what they need to know.
this is what they need to know right now. Also, there are 6 attachments that go along with some of the seller side. So like move out checklist and showing prep or all that stuff. So there's all the information you will ever need to tell your clients in one of these templates.
Yes, and if you still aren't sure, you can go back and listen to episode 31, where we talk about the importance of the templates and why we use them.
Like, what are we even doing?
So we hope that they help you because they have helped us so much.
Immensely.
And we have gotten so many wonderful reviews about how they have helped others. And so now they are up to date and ready for you.
Yeah, and you can go read reviews and all the information at emailtemplates101.com.
Lovely.
How easy is that?
Great.
Okay, y'all enjoy.
Bye.
How can a buyer's agent make your job easier?
I think that goes along with
that.
some of the past questions. Just
Like
educate
keeping
your
their
clients.
buyer in line?
In line, yeah.
Keep the buyer in line.
Keep the buyer in line.
Do you like having, let's say it's another agent, just because maybe just on the listing side, there's another agent. Do you like having the communication with everyone looped in? How do you do communication?
No. So everything's contractual. Everything. Listen, I'll say this. I've said this at meetings. If I tell you something on the job, it's a lie. It's a lie. I'm lying to you. If I
Yeah.
promise you something,
Yeah.
I lie to you.
Yeah.
If it's in writing,
Yeah.
Right.
that's what I'm giving you.
Right.
Because we know that buyers
They
are liars.
hear it. Right,
Buyers
right.
are liars.
Well, you
We
said-
do hear it.
You said. So listen, I like everything communicated with the realtors.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
So how do, you
Keep it all
you
in
get
writing.
everyone on the
Yes.
same email thread? Like logistically, how do you keep everyone
So
together?
if they request something, they request it through the realtor. They get it to my realtor, and my realtor gets it to me.
Yeah.
And if I sign off on it,
then it's done.
then it's done.
Okay.
Then it's done.
Then
at
it's
that
done.
point.
If I say yes, I still lie because I didn't sign it.
What about buyers
Okay.
like going to the house
No.
during
So listen. So
construction?
there's a lot to be said about that.
Yeah.
So first off, I tell a lot of ladies, it's unsafe to go by yourself. It's a construction site.
It is, yeah.
That's just the world we're in today, right? So besides protecting yourself and not going anytime you want, we put in our contract that you have to have an approved appointment to go to the house. So we've had buyers that go to the house, they're pests,
All the time, every
and
day.
they don't realize, and the agent that represents that buyer don't realize that puts them in breach of contract.
Right.
When you went to the house and you documented that when you went to the house and you found these things wrong, you're in breach of contract and get out of the contract right now. Do you want the house or not?
Right.
Right.
You have to follow the rules.
You're
just
not at a finishing point where it's time for
Right.
a walkthrough.
well. Builders are held to a very strict standard.
Yeah.
So should buyers. You have to follow the rules just like we do. So
Yeah.
yes, an appointment is absolutely necessary because let's just say you go to the house and my floor guy just finished laying tile in the bathroom. And you walk through the bathroom not realizing those tile are wet and
moving,
set. We've already had it happen. They walk through it. They call us, fortunately, and it says,
We're sorry.
We're sorry. And then we fix it, no problem. But we could have eliminated that problem if you just asked us to visit the house. We said, no, our floor guy. Matter of fact, on our lock boxes, when our flooring guys are there, we take the key out the lockbox.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that makes sense.
So you can't even get in.
You can't even get. Listen, even if you forget or you go, you're not even meaning any harm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We protect ourselves. We just take the key. My floor guys know automatically take the key.
So in our market, from what I have a client building right now, and they're there at least every other day.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, they're there all the time. It's not at a point where it has locks on the doors yet. It's still very much open. I haven't gotten any complaints yet from the builder.
Right.
And they have not had any complaints about anything they've,
seen.
Right. They're just, they go over there and then they praise the builder and then they leave. So
great. Well,
everyone's fine. Everyone's fine. But it does make me wonder as an agent, if we needed to make an appointment, how often would you say that as an agent representing the buyer would be respectable to go by and check on the house?
Well, one of your questions that you had that you sent me was it referred to that.
Like what agents could do throughout the process.
Right. And I think that's what it was. And I think that like if you're a good agent, you're going to visit the construction site, right?
Right.
To where you can give your clients an updated progress report to where they're not going to a dangerous site. You know, you can walk through with your builder, say, hey, look, I want to go through, I want to take a few pictures. I want to send this to my clients. And I think that alleviates a lot of problems.
Yeah.
Because when the agents are sending pictures and progress.
You're like, well, that's not done yet.
It's not done yet. You can answer that question.
Right.
Well, what about this? Well, we're not even on a punch list yet. Well, well, can I give you a list? Well, why would you want a list right now?
Not done yet.
Correct. And I think that's where we prefer an appointment.
Right.
Because we can turn you down. Well, we're not ready for you to walk through. We don't even want you to see what we're doing right now.
In the middle of the process.
Correct.
Even having this conversation, I'm like mind blown that we don't have an appointment required for a home visit.
Well, that is a societal thing, or maybe just in this area. If there's a house being built around the corner from your house, everyone thinks nobody
just go walk
considers it
through it.
trespassing. Everyone's taking a leisure tour through whatever, and that's a liability to you because what if they fall down? What if they hurt themselves?
Right.
Like hearing him say construction zone.
Right.
Like you have insurance.
Right.
Like there's so many things that could happen.
It's dangerous.
That's why builders insurance is so high.
Correct. Yeah. That's a whole nother thing.
Like kids playing in the dumpster. Like I've seen it in my own because I've been living in a new construction neighborhood for forever. And kids play in the dumpster, throwing bricks in the street, doing like you're totally exposed as far as liability goes. I mean,
I'm surprised builders don't use more signage or like,
cameras.
Don't enter
That doesn't
trespassing.
And I think, look, when we go back to making an appointment and having it approved, it's a protection for us. It's
really like
that's
that.
not for. It's like me saying that I'm going to charge you a change order for every change. It's not necessarily that we have to have it, but it's my protection.
Right.
Like if you get out of line, stop going to the house.
I can use this if you get out of line.
Correct. And I think that 10-page addendum that your builder has, there's a lot of protection in there.
Yeah.
Not necessarily that he's going to say, we're going to follow every line.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day,
if I need it, I'll pull it out.
Because if your customer becomes a pain and they've visited the house one time without an appointment, you're in breach of contract. As a builder, I can get out of my contract.
Yeah,
now. You're in breach of contract. I'm done. Where the contract that we sign, the Louisiana Realtors, the standard doesn't protect the builder.
Yeah, or any seller really.
I really like that. It almost makes me want to make like a new construction template for when I have clients building.
Perfect.
Well, I think that needs to be lobbied for. There needs to be a separate contract just for new construction.
So they know.
Yes. I mean, and Louisiana should already have that in place.
Okay, well, what do buyers need to know in the beginning? Let's say about new construction, about dealing with being under contract on new construction. What do you want them to know?
I think first and foremost is that the expectations are set. Again, we're going to go back to educating the lines of communication.
Yeah.
That's first and foremost. What do you mean I can't talk to my builder? Well, it's not that you can't talk to your builder, but I have to be there as an agent. You say, I have to be there. The builder wants to meet you. He's building like I went to a luncheon for the Acadiana Home Builders last week, Jess and I. It was our 60th anniversary.
Wow.
And the guy was up there and he just kept saying, and it rang because as realtors, builders, we're in this industry and we get callous. It's a job. He stated like 2 or 3 times, we're changing lives. that was powerful to hear that.
It's a good reminder.
It's a good reminder of what we do as professionals. It's not just a job. And so sometimes we do get disconnected as builder realtor. Like, man, these people are a pain.
Right. Well, it's hard. I find I struggle with being super connected because I also have to have boundaries. And so my boundaries sometimes to keep me and my family time safe make me unable to fully empathize with what they're going, because I can't always feel the emotions of my clients. So I'm constantly having to check myself that I am feeling the feelings with them and that I'm excited with them, and that because it's
a long process.
When you're doing so many transactions and it's your job. It is your job.
Yeah, you do have to set boundaries, no doubt, because people do not respect your private life.
Right.
I get off hey, listen, the clients get off at work at 5 o'clock. Hey, I need you to meet me at the house at 6. But wait, I've been working since 7 this morning.
Right.
Like,
these are my hours.
These are my hours.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's just like, we tell a lot of people whenever we're going through warranty work, we have a punch list procedure, right? And we have our clients sign that at closing, where we take some of the new home warranty act information and we hot list it.
Yeah.
Right.
So that the buyers can understand, listen, well, I need you there in between 8 and 12. Well, I got to go to work. Well, when Cox Cable tells you they're going to be there in between 8 and 5, you're at your house, right?
Right.
You'll stay there for cable, but you won't stay there for warranty work.
It's enforcing your office hours.
Correct.
Yeah.
It is.
I mean, the bigger, like a track builder, that the rules are the rules.
The rules are the rules.
Here are the rules. And your walkthrough is on Friday from 8 to 12. Oh, you got to go to work. Too bad. Show up. That's when it is.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think that's definitely an argument for systems, because I think a lot of times that's where smaller builders go wrong. They don't relay the system. They don't say, "Hey, you got to have a scheduled appointment to see the house. You need to give us 48 hours notice." Whatever it is, you have to, do this for the change order. Or you have to contact this.
And communication through our builder addendum.
Yeah.
Yes, they don't put that process in place.
Right.
But I'm gonna tell you right now, there are lots of builders locally that run the worst business plan I have ever seen. They just,
Is that post or pre-COVID? I don't know, because it's changed so much. The building industry is not even the
Be
same.
like, my client will be calling the builder, "Hey, will you do blah, blah, blah?" "Sure, no problem." Click. They don't remember that.
Yeah, and I lied to you because I said it up front. I didn't say that.
Right, yeah.
Well, right.
Yeah.
It needs to be in
You have to be
writing.
facetious about it to make a joke so people understand, because that's going to stick with you. Oh, I lied about it. Oh, he joked. You remember I told you, well, you said you'd do this on the job.
Did you get it in writing?
Right. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Then it's more fun than anything.
Yeah,
it's not so offensive.
Well, right.
How often are they talking to you?
Never.
Never. That's the process.
Listen, Jess and I are very strong about that. Listen, you have an agent.
That's what they're there for.
I'm going to say it like this, because this is what a lot of people miss out on. The buyer has an agent.
Yes.
And that agent I pay.
Right.
The buyer doesn't pay the agent.
Right.
So when you say, well, I want to protect my buyer.
Sure.
Okay, you got to think of future business too. Because if you get out of line, the very person that is paying you may not accept your contract next time.
Right.
And I think more realtors need to understand. They say, well, if I wouldn't have brought the client, you wouldn't have a sale. Well, I wouldn't have a sale with you.
Right.
But we all know the house is going to sell.
Yeah.
So, don't give yourself too much accolades. But understand that you're getting paid from a different source than what you're selling. To who you're selling to.
Right. My buyers aren't paying me.
Correct. The seller is.
Right.
And I think a lot of realtors miss out on that. They forget.
Okay.
So let me ask you a question.
Oh, please.
Because you guys deal with a lot of calls from around the United States, a lot of questions.
Yeah.
In our market, we know it's traditional for the builder to pay, the seller, whatever.
Yeah.
In how many other markets do the buyers pay commissions?
We just talked about
On
that
this lap.
because it's not a thing, but
Anywhere.
it looks like it is on the horizon.
It's going to happen.
to become a thing.
I mean, my thing is, listen, I don't mind paying half my percent, but part of their closing costs should be to pay their representation.
Well, that's going to happen.
Oh,
It's on the horizon.
It's on the way.
Yeah, that's really heavily being dealt with the whole NAR and the DOJ
I think it's
and
fair.
all that.
I think it's fair.
Well, also,
I know. I told her. I said I can't
believe
believe it's not.
Correct.
Because the way you feel as a seller, that you're paying both sides is a valid feeling, but it's not what it's supposed to be. The buyer is supposed to be having their own representation. And
if you want that, you should
pay for it.
Yeah, you should pay for it. Okay.
Agreed.
So here we go. I'm currently, this is a listener. I'm currently the buyer's agent in a new construction deal. My first deal.
First.
However, I'm not sure if I'm completely missing what I need to be doing, or there just really isn't anything to be doing. Is this the way new construction deals go as a buyer's agent?
Okay, so I got hot and heavy
Let me hear.
because we
She's
reviewed
new. She's
we reviewed those questions on the way over here.
Go gentle on her.
Yeah, she's new.
So I'm going to say this first and foremost. I didn't know that there was a new agent commission program.
What is that?
Huh?
Exactly. You're getting paid full price commission. You should be aware of what's going on. Before you write a contract for a buyer, if you don't know what's going on, you should have a mentor.
Right.
And if you have to pay that mentor, pay the mentor.
Right.
Because that kind of question right there, when you're representing a dream of someone's,
Right.
when you're changing people's lives, like the guy said at the HBA meeting, you don't have the right to say that.
Right.
That,
if that's how you feel, you're in the wrong place.
Wait,
Correct.
Shouldn't
Correct.
No. I will allow it, but
Okay, tell it.
I will also say, I think I understand what they're trying to say. The process of building a house is very long. If you were buying a resale, it would be 30 days.
short.
I know
Very
what
short,
I'm doing. I know the inspection comes. I know
Right.
this. I know what I should be as an agent doing. In a build process, what we're trying to fill in is this weird blank of builders, historically, not you. You seem to have it under control. Have not told the public or the agents what they want and expect of them to be doing. So you're saying, I want you to call my office and set up an appointment if you want to see the house.
Look up the builder addendums. There's all your direction you need.
So the builder addendum has the directions.
Correct. Our builder addendum tells you what direction to go.
Rules.
And if there is not a great builder's addendum, perhaps the agent should reach out to the builder or builder's representative and say, is there anything in particular you would like me to handle on this end? Or you could send them updates on the lender.
Absolutely. Because listen, I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of agents in Lafayette that aren't familiar with new construction. And they'll call Jessica, and Jessica will help them write the contract.
Sure.
There's help out there.
So let's
There's help
remove
out
it
there.
from
Yes.
your business.
Okay.
You have an addendum that's covering all this stuff.
Okay.
What are 2 or 3 or 4 things that you would say a buyer's agent should be doing during the transaction?
Updates.
Like lender updates or
No, I'm talking about progress.
Okay.
Construction process. You listen, don't call me for an update. Go take pictures, earn your money. Go take pictures and send that
Okay.
to your client, right?
All right,
like
so
that.
you go check for the update.
Yeah, don't call me because
with
you're
an appointment.
with an appointment because you're the agent that's getting
Okay.
paid on this, right?
Yep.
You don't just get to write a contract and sit home. That's
Well,
not what a
I think that's what she
right.
was trying to say.
Yeah.
I don't want to write the contract and sit
Yeah.
home, but I don't know what to do.
Right.
Yeah.
What should we do?
So what
So
And-
she's
and
going to
so-
listen to this episode and she's going to find out what to do.
You
So
said,
definitely
go get
so
the update.
Go get the
Construction
updates and you
appointment.
update your clients.
Okay.
Make sure that the buyer is what you said, the mortgage company.
Okay.
Make sure that loan is ready to close.
Okay. Got it.
Jessica and I go through that nonstop. The agents don't keep up with this stuff.
Yeah, and
We-
when to order the appraisal? How far are
Yep.
we in the process? Is it
But
time
if-
for the appraisal?
But those questions aren't asked because if the agent is going out taking progress reports, she knows at what time the appraisal is ready to go.
Right.
Right?
She
Okay.
knows when the appraisal can
Correct.
be ordered.
Because, the appliances are in. We're ready for appraisal.
Yeah.
Well, hey, you call on the builder saying, when's the appliances going to be in? Well, they're already in. You hadn't been there?
right.
Okay,
Right.
But you should technically know they hadn't been there because they didn't make an appointment.
Right.
But
But
they-
he's saying
but
you should be there.
Correct.
You gotta
but-
go
be
there.
Correct. You should go there. But like I said, the agent up front in the beginning of this conversation, the agents should have an approved appointment and get progress reports for their clients.
Okay.
Is that usually when appraisal is ordered once appliances are
Yeah.
Right. First time I ever heard that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's,
I mean,
it
because
makes sense.
it
That's
does.
You have to have the stove oven for
Right,
the
right.
appraisal. But
Air conditioning.
that-
But it doesn't have to be done like landscape and the whole thing. Just
It depends.
on
It depends on what the contract reads. If
Yeah.
the contract reads there's a fence, guess what?
it better be in there.
It better
for the
be in there because the
appraisal.
appraisal's not going to get done.
oh,
Okay.
gotcha. Okay.
Okay. All right. What else can they be doing?
Oh, man.
I think those are like the biggest
That's
things.
it.
I
Just
think
like
so. Progress,
lender
keeping up,
updates.
and the lender, that's super important. That's the biggest things.
Okay. Got it. Makes sense. All right.
That's very helpful.
Now,
a good
let's
list.
take ourselves outside of Louisiana. This listener question said they wanted to cover the pitfalls, benefits, shininess, and stigmas of buying new and in-process builds. And then this, I'm going to give the side note. More and more communities are being built in and around Denver, Colorado, and some of my buyers are starting to express interest. It gives me a pit in my stomach as a new agent, and I think it's because I know very little and feel very protective of my clients.
I don't understand what the question is.
Okay, can I?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Because I've lived outside of Louisiana before, briefly, and actually in Colorado, but I wasn't in real estate at the time. Okay. I want our listeners to understand that new construction in South Louisiana is not like new construction in other places, as evidenced by this question. No one would ask this question locally.
Is that why I'm confused?
Yes.
Okay.
That's why I'm glad you said it, because I was like,
You didn't
somebody else
understand.
answers
Okay,
it. Right.
Because in other places, a lot of times they don't have what I'm going to call you as a custom builder. Okay. A small business builds less than X amount of homes in a year. I don't know, call it 50, whatever. I don't know how many you build, but let's just say small builders are very common here. Small builders are not common in other places. So I think in our market, we are accustomed to a higher quality new construction product because most small builders build a higher quality, more hands-on type of product, okay? In other places, it's almost all tract built, okay? So XYZ builder might be good. ABC builder might be, they get sued a lot. They don't do a very quality product. They don't put XYZ processes in place. And I think that I can understand where an agent would be concerned. Well, I see all these neighborhoods popping up. How do I know which one the builders are good? We only have locally, I don't know about in your market, we have 2-3 large builders, okay? That is it.
That's what we have.
And it might be the same three.
Probably the same.
Yeah.
And I know which one is being sued a lot right now. And I know which one has the best customer service. And I know which one builds what I would consider to be a well enough built product that I wouldn't be afraid to buy one myself. In fact, she owns one. So I think what they're asking is, how do you know if the builder's good?
Like what's like a good vetting process?
Yeah.
Is it?
Well, I mean, you obviously can't go on the internet and go to the hate mail and read all this because they built thousands of houses.
Right.
There's going to be hate mail no matter what.
And listen, I'm experienced enough to know not to disparage against these guys just because.
No, I would never I didn't say any names.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying in general, that's a consensus most of the time. Experience gets rid of that. And I think that, like, I'll go to home inspections.
Yeah.
I think that if you want to get a good idea of which builder to go with, talk to a home inspector.
Talk to the home inspectors.
Talk to the home inspectors.
Because they're inspecting them years later when they're resold.
Correct. Yep.
That makes
They're
perfect
seeing
sense.
how they're holding up. And
They're in there from the when they're selling from the very beginning, and then the resales.
And they
as well.
should know code, so they should have some.
Yeah, we're all held to the same code.
Right. Is building code national, or is it some of it's got to be local, right?
Well, I mean,
is it local?
Well,
like there are hurricane things that you have to do here that you don't have to do somewhere else.
UDC, Unified Development Code. So your area, as far as building codes, I mean, you're going to have different things up north and south, and then go south of Lafayette, you have different codes because of the stronger wind. So
yeah, that makes sense. Because I had a client in Alabama that had certain requirements on a specific thing regarding hurricanes that we actually didn't have here that I thought was interesting, but it was code there. So
okay. I think that covered that one.
Okay.
Isn't that interesting though? Even one of the bigger builders that we have here that has maybe more of a like, I don't love that, or that's a stigma, or like locally people don't love the big builders, the tract built builders, because there's so many smaller local builders to choose from. They're just like, well, I would just rather pay a little more and go with the
so I think
local guy.
Also at the beginning, if you can afford a local builder's house, money stays here.
yeah.
One of the things Jess and I talk about a lot is, you guys have access to the MLS.
Yeah.
Your fiduciary responsibility is to protect your client. But that's just not during the process. It's what they're getting into as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we know statistically, your tract builders, there's not much growth on the appraisal. And then, if you want that house, like I said, down the road, they're building a new subdivision with that house.
Same
with
builder.
incentives.
Yeah. Price hadn't changed that much.
Price hadn't changed. But when you go to sell yours, you're going to lose money. And traditionally, a local builder, their appraisals go up.
Yeah.
And that's all facts. That's all part of the MLS.
Yeah.
You can look that up
Right.
and present that to your buyer before they sign a contract and say, hey, listen,
like this
are
may
you
need
looking
to be a long-term home
But
for
that's
you.
correct? Because you can't get your money back.
But that's facts
While they're
here.
building it.
I also just want to clarify, that's facts here.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
What I'm trying to say is
Yeah.
I think it's not facts
Oh,
elsewhere.
right.
Because they don't even
that's
exist.
right.
The
Doesn't
little
exist.
builder
Right,
doesn't
right.
even exist.
Yeah.
So y'all
Like
just,
you don't
know
think
your
they
own
have
market.
local builders
I keep
in
thinking locally.
Colorado?
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some, but I bet they're all high end. Okay.
Oh,
So
if you
y'all-
want a custom built home
like,
elsewhere,
you're not going to get where you are more affordable price range.
Mhm.
I just don't know that they exist in the
Right.
way they
Well,
do
and
here.
also so I have a friend of mine that moved to Colorado. He's a builder from Lafayette, and he built some houses up there. And he said the building process and the cost to build is extremely high.
yeah.
Wow.
So
then
So
the
you-
price has to be higher for the same
Correct.
house.
Mhm.
Just
Right, unless you're tract building and then you're doing it out of the quantity
Yeah.
makes the price more
like I said,
affordable.
my performer, I had to promise these
Yeah.
guys 15
Yeah.
houses at a time
That.
to get my prices down.
Yeah, so it all makes sense. Just we want the listeners to just go learn about new construction in their market. Who are the available builders?
Right.
What
Mhm.
what are the reviews? Talk to other agents who've sold. That's a great way
talk
to
to
find
the home
out.
inspectors.
Talk to
yeah,
Mhm.
the agents, the home inspectors.
Okay, back on the home inspector. Do you want your buyers to get a independent home inspector?
Absolutely.
Do you
Every single
kind of-
time.
You make them do it.
I don't make them,
but you're like,
but if they want to get one, I'm all for it. Listen, you have the builder, you have a couple hundred people that work on a house.
yeah.
Right.
And if every time one of those people make a mistake, you got a couple hundred things wrong with the house, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this
Yeah.
is human beings building a product.
Yeah.
So then you have the local codes that inspect it, and they'll catch things. And then at the very final, you have a home inspector that comes in and then finalizes that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I think it's a very good idea to protect yourself and your investment.
Okay.
I think people rely heavily on the state.
Oh, like the
code.
the code inspector, like
Yes.
the state
Well, I mean, no,
inspector.
our codes are pretty strict in Lafayette.
Yeah.
And we have some very, very good inspectors in our area that we have a very good rapport with.
Yeah.
But listen, mistakes happen.
Yeah,
they
they
might
do.
miss something.
Well,
You know,
right.
it's human
But
error.
also the parish or the state inspector doesn't come and try every outlet, right?
Oh no, they do.
They
They'll
do?
come in with testers and all your GFIs.
Oh.
They'll
So
test them
they're
and they'll
pretty
make sure.
thorough.
Oh no, that's what I said. Our
Okay.
area has some very good inspectors.
Okay.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
Yes.
All right. So when the buyer has that home inspection done, when do you want them to do it? And then is it like at a punch through walklet? Like walk
So we
through
like
it?
to we traditionally like to have it done at the same time because
Okay.
if we have an inspection and then we do a punch list, well maybe there's an inspection item that's going to cause another punch list item,
Right.
So we want to get all that done at the same time. So if we're calling in painters and we had to fix an inspection item, well
Get
we're
it all done.
right.
That makes sense.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah, I
that
like
makes
that.
perfect sense. Okay, let's go to warranty. What type of warranty do you offer? And how is that communicated to your buyer?
So state of Louisiana has a mandate. It's a New Home Warranty Act.
Right?
And so that covers your structure for 5 years,
Okay.
heating, AC, electrical for 2 years.
Okay.
And then you have a general, which is a 1 year, but really it's a 1 year and a month. By the time
Okay.
you send out, you have up to a month after to send your letter out.
Oh, okay.
And that's
But on the general 1 year, it is not anything cosmetic. I mean, they can't like ding a cabinet
No.
or it's just
we've
like
had people call and say, "Hey, look, my cabinet door is hanging," and I said, "I'm sure that's got something to do with your 5-year-old kid that hung on it." But we'll
Right.
go and
But
fix
you'll
it.
fix
We'll
it.
fix it.
Yeah.
So there are things that will go in easy
Yeah.
stuff, you know.
You're in the area. You could
Mhm.
send your guy.
But we're not going to send a painter in after you move in to spackle all your walls from,
moving
banging
stuff
them
around.
up and stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. What about lenders? Do you have a preferred lender?
Yes, we do. Fabio Passos, and he has.
Oh, Fabio.
Fabio.
Oh, you know Fabio?
No, I don't know Fabio.
Oh, you said like you know.
I know.
Oh.
I like it.
Yeah, Fabio Passos. He has Milestone Mortgage in Lafayette,
Okay.
and he's been with us for a good while.
Do you offer incentives?
Yes. So not only does Fabio offer $3,500,
Uh-huh.
our preferred attorney offers another credit to the buyers.
Okay.
So
And you have to use both to
Yes.
get both.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever get pushback?
Yes.
Okay.
And then what?
But most of the time, then you don't get it.
Yeah.
Right.
If you're,
That's fine.
listen, this is your
That's
choice
fine.
to use your friend.
Yeah,
Right.
you can.
And so you're going to tell me you want to use your friend, and she's not going to give you the $3,500 that our guy gives us.
Right.
Like
Right.
that doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
Okay. All right. Makes sense. Okay. What are some things that buyers don't understand about new construction? And this also, I think,
feel
maybe
like
post construction. What are some things they come back with that maybe an agent could have helped them understand? You like your house isn't perfect.
I do think that buyers think that I built, so it should be perfect or not thinking about even.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
I'm going to give an analogy here.
That's
And
perfect.
maybe it's kind of far-fetched. When you buy a car, do you do a punch list on your car?
No, I just drive it
No.
around.
I'm just saying, when you go buy a
Yeah.
$60,000 car,
Right.
that when you drive off the lot loses $10,000.
Mhm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So when you buy your house and you sign the paperwork,
Mm-hmm.
most time you got a little equity in it, right? You're not losing 10 grand when you sign the
No.
paperwork.
Right.
But people feel compelled to pick on a home
Mhm.
that increases in value.
Right,
that they'll,
right.
they'll jump in a $60,000 to $70,000 vehicle, drive
Right.
it off,
Mhm.
And
And
never
not-
come back.
and never come back.
Fine, I don't care.
Yeah.
And so listen,
Interesting.
your transmission went out at 4 years. They're not calling. Can you do me a
To
favor?
the dealership.
Can you do me a favor to
4
fix?
years later.
Oh no, I have
You've had-
8 and 10 years. Their air condition goes out.
Like 10 years later.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and they
guess
call.
what?
No,
Welcome.
that's-
Welcome to home ownership.
Welcome to homeownership. Listen, the things we see,
I know.
it's crazy.
So crazy.
Oh, man. How
It's-
do you handle the volume of calls?
We just let them know it's not covered by the New Home Warranty Act, and that's what
That's
the
your
law
answer.
is.
Have, like,
the
that's
the
your
law is the
answer.
law.
That's
yeah,
the
the law's
law.
the law.
The law is the law. It's
Yeah.
like I'm not telling. Listen, and then
Yeah,
you
yeah.
also have the National Home Builder Standard
Mm-hmm.
brochure that they put out.
Okay.
So, punch list. You go through the house. You got a flashlight. I've seen it. You guys seen it?
Yeah,
They come in
I've
with
had
their
some
whole
pretty bad.
family, and everybody has a roll of tape. You can do whatever you want. Most people don't understand that a punch list is a courtesy from the builder. That's not a requirement.
Okay.
So you can put tape all over you want. The national standard for builders is 6 foot away. That's in writing. That's black and white.
Oh. Like you have to.
wow.
You have to
if
stand
you
6 foot
to
away from
see
the wall. And if you can see it, because we're in some houses and we can't find the spot where they
You're
put
like,
blue
but
tape.
why is this tape here?
So
Right.
we're going to pull off the tape that we feel that's
Wow.
unnecessary because,
Oh.
and then also you have to realize, so we go through a perform and we get these houses, we get the painters at a certain price. Well, the painter goes back into punch
It
out.
could cost
It
more.
should have been an $8 square foot paint job
Right.
instead of a $4 square foot paint
Yeah.
job. But people want the best for less.
Right.
Sure.
It doesn't work like that. So what happens is that's why a lot of local builders can't build affordable housing because the agents don't set expectations for their
Right.
buyers.
Right.
Right. It's affecting affordability.
It's affecting, yes.
because
I would say.
expectations aren't set.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
absolutely.
man. This is crazy.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. I have a math question, and this is
Uh-oh.
really the last one on my list.
Are you trying to stump me here?
Not at all.
Okay.
It's not, I'm not going to give you numbers. Well, I am one number. Okay.
Okay.
Back in the day,
Back in the day.
when I started, maybe, and when my dad built houses when I was a kid.
Okay.
Okay. He does not now. He does dirt and concrete commercial stuff.
Mhm.
But I remember hearing that your lot, the value of your land, should be 30% of the value of your the home, the whole thing together.
Not anymore.
What
What do you think?
What do you think it is? I'm going to tell you why I'm asking this, and then you can answer.
That varies. I mean, you could buy a $100,000 lot and spend $800 on the house, or you could spend $40,000 on a house and buy a $230,000 house. So those
Yeah,
equations,
yeah.
and based on the new development codes for streets and sewer and sewage systems, that's increased the price of the lot cost.
Okay, I'm going to tell you why. Buyer calls Katie. Buyer says, hey, I'm thinking about buying new construction.
Okay.
I found a lot in XYZ neighborhood and it is $100,000. My budget to build my budget for a house is $250,000. Katie's going to say, no. You can't buy a $100,000 lot because you can't buy, unless you're building like some kind of shack on this lot, you're not going to have enough money to build.
Right. First off, most developers back calculate.
Okay.
Most smart developers are going to say, we know that $125,000 lot, you're going to be, and this doesn't really work, 2,700 square foot minimum.
Okay.
So and then I think the best thing in education-wise is to look at the MLS because it's going to tell you a consensus of what everybody's doing.
Right.
Why is this builder, why are the comps all the same price in a subdivision?
Right.
Because it's based on profits.
Right.
That's for builders.
Right.
For builders, we do our calculations like the developers have quote on and they back calculate. So they
know.
The developers are actually letting you know how much you're going to make on a house.
Well, and how much you should sell it for.
And how much you should sell it for based on the price of the lot.
Basically, from the moment
Based
of
on the lot.
development, they know what the end houses should about be sold for.
Right.
Right? Okay, or else they make the lot smaller or bigger or whatever. Okay, that makes sense because, as I said, I live in this, what I call a new construction neighborhood that's 15 years old. There's still empty lots here. And we get a lot of this. Buyer buys lot. Oh, X amount of money. I can handle this. Then they go find out how much it costs to build, and they only want to be in a 3,000 square foot house, but we can only afford a 2,500 square foot house, and now we don't want to build resell lot. I have seen it so many times here.
Interesting.
Over and over and over again. So much so that I know now when a buyer asks me, I would like to buy a lot. I'm like, I need to know further down the line. What do you want to spend on a house?
Right.
Like you can't just go because sometimes flipping that lot is hard.
Well, and we get that too. People will call us and say, hey, I want to buy this $100,000 lot and I want to spend X amount of dollars. I'm like, that equation doesn't work.
That
Yeah,
don't
it
work.
doesn't
Do
work.
you sell, you don't develop the subdivision,
Correct.
so you don't sell lots ever?
Nope.
No. Okay. And most subdivisions, correct me if I'm wrong, have in like the restrictions, the lots have to be built on in a certain amount of time. Like in a neighborhood where buyers are buying lots, like you usually have a year and then you got to build. And if you don't build, you could be fined because they don't want the neighborhood sitting half.
I think but most of the time, if they're keeping the property up and it's maintained and it's cut, you're not going to get any feedback, on that.
Yeah.
But it's in the addendum if you cause a problem.
Correct.
We got that for you.
Correct.
Yeah.
It might be in there.
I believe it.
if you cause a problem.
Okay, what else do you want the people to know?
I think we're wrapping up. Anything that
I think we've said pretty much everything. There's so much to be said on different subjects, and we can get into some different.
We're already over time. I did have like two more little things.
Well, real quick.
Like lightning round.
Real quick.
Ask him real quick.
How much? So when I was little, my grandfather was a builder. That's what we called him. I think I later found he was a builder, but he was mostly a framer, excellent framer, and all of that. But so anytime I visited him at work, he was covered in mud and sweaty, and Then I meet builders as a real estate agent in their suits and ties, and I'm like,
you're like, what's going on here?
I didn't understand in my brain.
Okay,
my
so
brain didn't
I'll
understand.
say this, and I always say this. So your grandfather was a builder, right?
Yes.
The guys you meet today are contractors.
Correct. Oh, that's such a great.
Yes, there's a difference. So when I came up as a builder. Turned into a contractor, right? So a lot of these guys that get into the industry today, they jump into it as contractors. They don't have any experience. They passed a test barely.
Yeah.
And they have a little bit of money they can build.
They don't know anything about the logistics of construction.
I can't give a contractor today, most contractors, I can't give them the blueprint and say, hey, figure out how many T's and corners we need on this house because we're about to put some walls up. And they can't count it because they don't know what a T and a corner is, or,
they don't know that.
Basic and headers. They just can't put it together. Yeah. So it's true. Your grandfather was a builder.
Right.
Today, they're contractors.
Today, he would have been considered
a builder.
No, he would have. He's still been a builder.
Old school. He's
or
a builder.
Framer or a trim guy.
He actually built the house.
Yeah.
So for me, I consider myself a builder contractor because of the way I came up. Correct.
You know both.
A lot of guys are contractors these days. They ride around the F-250. They ride around in their little loafers.
And they're pointing.
Right.
You need to do this.
They're businessmen. They're running a administrative function. They're not slinging a hammer around.
Right.
How often do you have to sling a hammer?
I don't anymore.
Right.
But he hires someone to do it.
Right.
You did for...
Yes. And that's why I say now...
So you can tell someone how to swing the hammer.
Oh, no, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, you can give me a set of plans right now and I can frame a house.
Yeah.
I mean, so
don't want to.
half the contractors today don't know geometry, so they can't cut a roof.
Right.
They're like, wait, what do you mean? Cut a hill?
Yeah. How do you know as a contractor when your subs are doing something wrong if you don't actually know how to do it?
Codes.
Because just they wait for the inspector to catch it.
Right. Where I can walk through with a can of orange paint
and be like,
and I can start marking stuff in the walls where we need bracing and we need hangers.
You
correct.
Can see it.
Exactly.
So important.
So then you go back to say that question that you asked, how do you know which builder?
Yeah.
Look up their history.
Okay,
So
that's
funny.
very interesting. I think I'm good.
Oh, good. Okay, I'm going to tell you a quick story and then we'll be done.
Okay.
So, my husband built this house and our last house and briefly had his contractor's license, but doesn't anymore. He's a trim carpenter, really. Like, he's a carpenter. He's a
involves
carpenter.
wood, he can do anything.
I like the detail here. That's very
he
nice.
can do
Yes.
anything.
I like
He
that.
did that.
Yeah.
So he did that. But so when we built this house, we put it on the parade of homes. And the old little ladies from the local board of builders come over to the house to check it before, whatever, say hi. And, he swings the hammer.
Right.
He laid this floor. He did this trim. Like, he does the stuff.
Took a lot of pride.
And
in
you know
it.
what they
Yes.
called him? So I'm going to tell you this. This is what they called him. Oh, yes, I see. You're a boots in the mud builder.
Yes,
Boots
yeah.
in the mud builder.
Boots in the mud.
The-
She says, you don't have a clean truck.
Yeah.
Like the shiny
well,
truck
my
with
truck
the
is
loafers.
clean. I'm sorry. At this point, my truck is clean. I keep
You
it.
served your time.
You earned
Presentation
it.
is
Yes.
supposed to be a
You've
certain
served
way.
You
your
earned
time.
it. You earned it. That's
Mhm.
okay. Okay, do you have a toast
Do you have someone you would like to
like cheers to?
Not anyone in particular. I didn't think about that.
Okay.
You know who I thought you were gonna say
Who?
is the guy who was your original mentor. Mhm.
Mentors are
Yeah.
key.
Yeah, so Cordell Castet,
Okay.
he was instrumental in my success in Lafayette.
Love it.
I have to say that.
And how did you
Good.
meet him?
It was from another friend, and you guys might know who Ricky Tucker is.
That sounds familiar.
He started EXP in Lafayette.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, and so Ricky and I were friends. Back in the day, I did some trim for Ricky. Ricky introduced me to Cordell, and then Cordell calls me back after the meeting was over and said, "Hey, I need you back in my office." I said, "Hey, you want me to call Ricky?" I didn't say that. That was just Cordell.
Right,
Funny.
And so
I
he
didn't
pulls
say
me
that.
in, and we jump in a Suburban, and he takes me to all his subdivisions he's developed. He says,
Oh,
"See
wow.
these lots over here? Those are your lots."
And you were like, what?
Yeah, and so we.
That's cool.
I think that he built his business, and he could appreciate the drive that I had.
Yeah.
And so when he died, it was devastating for me.
Yeah.
And so that's when I met, Brian Clement and Bob Austin. So I got to toast those guys as well.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Okay, good. The people in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
So
got
key.
you started.
Yep.
Well, that's
Awesome. Thank you so much.
This was a great
This was
episode.
so great.
Yep.
I have so many notes.
You have so many notes.
Yeah.
We've learned so much today.
Okay.
Okay, bye everybody.
All done.
All right, goodbye.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Hustle Humbly podcast. Let us know who we should toast to for the next episode.
Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Hustle Humbly Podcast. If you have an episode, topic, or question, please email us at hustlehumblypodcast@gmail.com.
Be sure to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. See you next week. Bye.
This is the good life.